Hi, I'm here today with Josie Morrow. She is a phenomenal singer, and right now she is the director of New Vintage Theater's production of It's a Wonderful Life. Josie, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Kendra.
It's a Wonderful Life is such an iconic Christmas story, but for anyone who maybe hasn't seen the 1946 film, what is the story about?
So, like you said, it is iconic. It is the classic. All our grandparents know it. It's a Wonderful Life is about the good old American George Bailey. George Bailey is a good man. The story takes place in the 1940s, in 1945, and it actually takes place throughout his whole life before that. So you start by meeting Clarence and Angel, and Clarence is assigned as George's guardian angel, and basically George is contemplating ending his life, and so Clarence gets to go back through George's past to learn all about George, and they meet, and basically Clarence shows George why he's lived such a wonderful life and why life is really worth living.
Wow, that seems like actually such an important story, especially right now to hear.
Yeah, I really felt that way.
So, how is this play being presented?
So this play is being presented a little bit differently for multiple reasons. The first reason is that it's actually written as a live watched radio play. So the stage is set like a radio studio. The actors have scripts instead of being scriptless, because in a traditional radio play, they would always have scripts. And it's being presented in two ways. Live, hopefully, fingers crossed, assuming that restrictions open up. But also, the big one is we're presenting it digitally. So it's going to be available online, and that makes it available internationally, all the way around the world. If you have access to a device and the internet, you can see this show.
That's that is such an exciting thing that's come out of this pandemic because I I think it's really because the point of live theater is to see it live. But on the other hand, my brother got to see a play I was in, and he lives in Australia. So
It's a catch 22. As anybody knows who does live theater, we always our goal is always to do it live, because a show live is there's nothing like it. It is you cannot there's not even a way to compare it. It's just it's raw and it's real. But being able to present these things digitally means we get to reach a larger audience than we normally would, as well as like being a small local theater, we get to access family members that, who maybe live on the other side of the country or in other parts of the world, who would never normally get to see us on stage, get to see people on stage or see works that we all create.
yeah, yeah.
Really nice.
So how has your experience been directing this play during a pandemic?
Directing this play during a pandemic has been interesting. When you're in theater, you kind of you get taught to be on your toes all the time. But during a pandemic, you are on your toes more than ever, because
Mhm.
it's not just what could happen during the show, it's what could happen with life, really. So I know that while we've been directing, we've discussed the fact that things could close at any minute, theaters could shut down, people maybe aren't comfortable with coming. There's a lot more variables when you direct in a pandemic. I mean, even with myself and the actors, making sure everybody was comfortable, and that their social distancing needs are being met. And it's definitely changed things for sure.
Mm. I know that It's a Wonderful Life wasn't the original show that you were planning on presenting. It was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And what I particularly love about New Vintage Theater and you and the producer Bonnie Gratz is that you didn't just go, well, we can't do this really big expensive show, so I guess we won't do anything. You said, okay, well, let's think outside the box. What's a play that we could do with a smaller cast that could be presented with a more economical budget, and you did that instead.
Yeah, Bonnie and I, we've basically done our best to keep theater alive throughout this entire pandemic and keep the arts really strong within our community. And so come early fall, when we had just finished up all of our summer programs, because we ran summer programs all through this pandemic. We kind of sat down and we said, okay, is it even going to be a possibility to do The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? And I was like, nope, no, there's no way. We can't do it safely. But do we want to quit? And neither of us, there wasn't a single part of either of us that were like, well, we should just wait. We both of us felt that this year especially, we needed to put something out for people, because the arts is really about connecting and bringing us together, and people are really feeling disconnected and more isolated than ever. So we really wanted to bring that to people, even if it meant only being through a screen.
Mm-hmm. And I think this show, because people are going to be depressed and down and feeling like this Christmas is not what they wanted and not what they expected, and to have this show with such a gorgeous, uplifting message be so important for people.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we actually decided to go with It's a Wonderful Life, for sure, because we figured that, I mean, right now there's not a better message that we could send out. So it was a really easy choice.
Uh, and anybody, anywhere, all over the world, as long as you have the internet connection, you can see it. So how do people get tickets?
How do people get tickets? That's a great question. So there's a couple different ways you can get tickets. If you're local and you want to, say, have that faith that we might get to go live on stage, I would say go to the Rotary Center for the Arts website. They have a link. And if for some reason we don't get to go live because we're in a pandemic, we have really cool plan Bs so that everybody that paid for a live ticket feels really more included in the live thing. But if you're far off in the world and you want to find access to our show, the first place you can go is to the New Vintage website. So it's just newvintage.ca, newvintagetheater.ca, sorry. Or if you want to find a direct link to the tickets, it is called www.showpass.ca/it's-a-wonderful-life.
I will
Online.
I will totally post all those links below in this video.
And that's the nice part about the internet. I can say it and then you can write it on the screen and it'll just come up in words and everybody can click, and then you can go buy tickets.
Yes. So I'm really excited for seeing the show. Is there anything else you want to
add? Support theaters.
Mm-hmm.
There are support local, whether it's a local shop or a local theater or a local artist. We are hurting, and anybody that works in the arts especially, it is so much more than a paycheck and a way to pay our bills. We live and breathe, sleep art. And so support your local artists because they're hurting, and your local theaters are hurting. Support our theaters, support all theaters, because it doesn't matter where you are, there are artists who are desperate for your love and support.
Thank you, Josie. This has been such an amazing interview, and I can't wait to see what's next for you and what's next for New Vintage Theater.
Thank you, Kendra. Thanks for having me. It was wonderful.
I recorded that interview with Josie over a week ago, and what happened was, on the Thursday before the interview, our provincial health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, ordered the closure of all theaters in British Columbia. Before, we were allowed to have about 50 people in the audience as long as everybody was socially distant and wearing masks, and now we couldn't have any theater open at all. But that didn't deter the producer, Bonnie Gratz. She got together with James Alton of James Alton Visuals, and with the cast and crew, they recorded the whole play that weekend. Everybody just dropped what they were doing and made this presentation happen. So please get your tickets. Show is on Showpass. I'll post the links down below. And tickets are available from the 10th to the 13th. So that's this week, Thursday to Sunday. And how it works is you buy your ticket and then you get a link to a YouTube channel, and you can just watch it at home whenever you want until the end of the 13th, and then the link will disappear. So please get your tickets. Support your local theater. Stay positive. Stay tuned.